Okay, so let's talk about sandwiching. So today we're going to solve radical equations day 2 with quadratic. So just like Monday, just involving a little bit more. So sandwiching is taking the whole, doing the whole thing, then talking about part of it, which is the steps, and then doing the whole again. So as we're doing this, your pencils are down completely. So why don't you go ahead and just clear your desk. I don't want anything on your desk. You can leave your pencil there, but you can put that away. Okay, so again, we have a radical equation. So just like Monday, the first thing I did was make sure that everything was away from the radical. There's nothing next to this radical, so I don't have to worry about that step. So I'm going to go straight into squaring both sides. So when I square a radical, it cancels out the radical sign. So I'm left with n plus 4 equals n minus 8 squared. So there's two different ways you could handle this. You could FOIL it. You could use a box. I'm going to do, I know this is going to turn into a perfect trinomial because this is the definition of a perfect trinomial, right? They're both the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the method of knowing what a perfect trinomial is when it's factored. So I'm going to go ahead and square that first term. I'm going to square the last term. And I know that the two middle terms are added together. Let me show you what that looks like. N times n is n squared. Negative 8 times negative 8 is positive 64. Isn't this negative 8n and negative 8n? Isn't that just doubling the negative 8 and the n together? Yeah. So that's what I did. So you're more than welcome to do it this way. Today I'm going to do it this way. That looks a little bit sloppy there. Okay, next I'm going to set everything to 0. So I need to move the n to the other side and the 4 to the other side. So at this point, this should look familiar to you. This is no new information, which I think kind of makes this lesson a little bit boring to watch because by this time you know how to do this. So I have n squared, a negative 16n, and another negative n is negative 17n. And positive 64 and a negative 4 makes positive 60. Now I need to factor it. So when I factor this, I have an n and an n. I know that 12 times 5 is 60. But 12 and 5 don't make negative 17, but if I make them both negative, it does. Now I just have to double check that still works with that last. So negative 12 times negative 5 is positive 60. So the last thing I need to do is set both of these up to 0. When I do that, I'm going to add 12 to both sides and 5 to both sides. And I get a solution of 12 and 5. My last step is I need to check both of these. So I'm going to set it up in the original equation. The square root of 12 plus 4 is equal to 12 minus 8. Does that work? 12 plus 4 is 16. Absolute value, sorry, not absolute value, the radical 16 is 4. 12 minus 8 is what? 4. This one checks. Let's try this one. The square root of 5 plus 4 should equal 5 minus 8. I can already see something wrong with this one. So 5 plus 4 is 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. But 3 does not equal negative 3. So this is not a solution. So the only solution, this one doesn't work, this one does work. The only solution is n equals 12. Let's look at my steps. Get the square root by itself. Square root was already by itself. Square both sides. I squared both sides. Get one side equal to 0. We moved everything over so that it was equal to 0. Factor, solve, and check. Any questions? Okay. You do another one with my steps side by side. So my first step is get the square root by itself. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So I'm going to do it with black first. Sorry, not add 4. Subtract 5 from both sides. And I get x minus 9 equals the square root of x minus 3. My next step is to square both sides. So I'm going to square this side and this side. When I square this side, it cancels my square root, and I'm left with x minus 3. When I square this side, it's a perfect square trinomial, so I have x squared. The 9 becomes an 81, and this middle term becomes negative 9x doubled, which is negative 18x. Get one side equal to 0. I need to subtract x from both sides and add 3 to both sides. X squared minus 19x plus 84 equals 0. Time to factor. When I factor this, I get x and an x. I see a 4 back here, so I figure, well, let's think. 7. 7 times what? 12 equals 84. 7 and 12 do make negative 19 if they're both negative. Negative 7 times negative 12 is positive 84. I'm going to skip a step here. That means x is either equal to 7 or x is equal to 12. I'm going to check it real quick. So if x were 7 in this original equation, I would have 7 minus 4 equals the square root of 7 minus 3 plus 5. 7 minus 4 is 3. 7 minus 3 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. 2 plus 5 is not 3. This doesn't work. You just don't know. You have to check both of them. The other one is 12. Let's see if 12 works. So if I put 12, substituted in for x, 12 minus 4 equals the square root of 12 minus 3, then add 5. 12 minus 4 is 8. 12 minus 3 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3 plus 5. That one checks. So your answer is x equals 12. Okay, whiteboard. Only write what I ask. If you draw other things, you will lose your whiteboard privileges for the day. So go ahead and make sure you have a marker and your whiteboard out. So first, I want everybody to do step 1. Get the square root by itself. Well, that step's already done for us. Correct? So let's go on to step number 2. I want everybody to square both sides. Go as far as you can squaring both sides without solving one side for 0. Okay? So go ahead and square both sides. Yes, I want you to find this perfect square trinomial. So I want you to square both sides, but just stop right there. And then show me. Okay, so when I square both sides, I get x squared. 3 squared is 9. 3x doubled is 6x. Equals x plus 5. If you didn't get this, then you need to correct yourself so we can move on. On my desk. All right, what's our next step?
Zero.
Get one side to 0. So do that now, please. So if I want this equal to 0, I need to subtract 5 from both sides and subtract x from both sides. So when I do that, I get x squared plus 5x plus 4 equals 0. What's my next step? Factor it. So go ahead and factor it for me. All right, so let's continue. What two numbers, when I multiply, you get 4? But negative 4 and negative 1 empty would give you a negative 5. So 4 times 1 is 4, but 1 plus 4 is 5. Okay, go ahead and solve and check for me. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's come back together. So when I solve this, I get x equals negative 4, or x equals negative 1. When I plug that back in, I need your attention please up here. I know you guys are talking it out, but I need your attention up here. Up here. So if I substitute this back into the original equation doesn't have anything. All we are doing is substituting and simplifying. So negative 4 plus 3 equals negative 4 plus 5. The other one we're going to check is negative 1. So I'm going to go right out. Negative 1 plus 3 equals the square root of negative 1 plus 5. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Negative 4 plus 5 is 1. What's the square root of 1? 1. Is this check? No. So this is not a solution. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2. Negative 1 plus 5 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. This one does work. And we're done with that. Let's go back now, and I'd like you to copy down this entire slide into your notes, please. Let's pause real quick and then come back to this. What did you learn today?
Sandwiching.
That's the method we use. What were we trying to find?
Radical equation.
Solving radical equations. Excellent. What does it mean to solve a radical equation resulting in a quadratic equation?
That it doesn't work.
We found solutions that don't work. We found that on Monday, though, too. But this time we didn't just solve for x. We also had to factor. We had to factor as well. Number 3, your friend slept through class. How would you explain the really radical lesson we missed? Somebody raise your hand. Okay, no, not showing notes. Tell me the steps. Tell me the steps.
Yes,
I got
square
this.
root by itself. That's number 1.
Okay. If you square it by itself,
Square root root.
square root by 5. Number 3.
Get one side equals 0, factor, and then solve and check.
Excellent job, guys.